Welcome back to IGN Live at E3, streaming at you from e3.ign.com, youtube.com/E3, and IGN's Xbox Live app. Right now, we're going to see what happens when an MMO becomes best friends with an FPS. Planetside 2 is ready to rock the stage. Take it away, Charles.
Hey, I'm here with Matt Higbee, Creative Director at Sony Online Entertainment, and we're taking a look at Planetside 2. So for somebody who's not familiar with Planetside, what is the game about? How do you actually go about playing this?
So Planetside 2 is an MMO FPS, massively multiplayer online first-person shooter. It allows thousands of players to directly and simultaneously compete in enormous battles on enormous open-world continents. No instancing, nothing to get in between players. I'm talking about tank lines with hundreds of tanks fighting against aircraft lines that are coming in. Literally thousands of players directly competing with one another in these enormous open-world continental battles.
So if you wanted to, you could just run across the entire world with a gun and see what you could get up to.
That's absolutely right, yeah, or in a tank or a quad or in an aircraft, you could get into a bomber and do that, so it really is warfare personified. This Planetside experience is completely unprecedented in gaming. There's no other game in the world where you can coordinate hundreds of players in massive base assaults, where you have transport aircraft flying over a base and hot dropping out a dozen troops at once, with 10 of those planes all dropping troops over a base at one time. Those kind of coordinated assaults just don't exist in any other game. And we've managed to be able to provide that experience while maintaining a completely legitimate AAA FPS experience.
Okay, and so you do have this huge open world, you do have all this freedom and opportunity to organize into different attack patterns and defenses. How is that actually organized within the game? Like, what gameplay structures are there to attack and defend?
So we have lots of different organizational structures that you'd be familiar with if you play MMO games, such as outfits, which are our equivalent of guilds, that allow a commander to be able to issue orders directly to his entire corps of troops that he has running around with him in his outfit. We also have squads that have squad leaders and allow like small objectives to be made. Squad leaders can also allow for things like squad spawning to happen. We have a mission system that helps direct troops to different areas of the map. Players are actually going to be able to directly input missions to attack a certain base or attack a certain area. And then players who are logging in are just going to be able to scroll through the different missions that are available, click one, go straight to it, and be participating in a kick-ass, visceral FPS experience without having to really wade through a lot of typical MMO learning curve type stuff. I mean, you can see here we have Adam, and he's running around in a lightning tank right now. This base that he's fighting in is about the size of an FPS map in something like a Battlefield Conquest game. It's a humongous map, hundreds of players can be competing here, and this constitutes about 2% of the playable space on this one continent. So you can kind of get the feeling of the enormity and the scope of this kind of game. And it's persistent too, so when Adam goes and wins this battle, if he can win this battle against these other players that are here, the map isn't going to switch. It's not like a loading screen is going to come up. That base is going to be his until someone comes and takes it back. It's completely persistent. It really adds a real feeling of ownership to territory you capture. Instead of just going and capturing a flag and then playing that same thing over and over again, you're playing a constantly evolving ground and air war.
Okay, and so it is possible to jump into a game if you say, oh, I only have 30 minutes to play or something like that. With the mission list, you can just select something, be into the action without having to be like, well, I got to run across the world for 20 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. We talk a lot about what the moment-to-moment gameplay feels like in this game, and I try to compare it to something like checkers versus Risk, where if you're playing a normal FPS game versus Planetside, the moment-to-moment gameplay feels the same. Sort of like if I play checkers, I pick up a piece and I move it. If I play Risk, I pick up a piece and I move it. But the strategy and the depth that's involved behind the scenes of just that moment-to-moment gameplay is so much more robust and so much more expansive. So we have moment-to-moment gameplay that rivals the best AAA FPSs on the market. But backing that up is thousands of hours of character customization, tons and tons of potential for different character personalization, and the massive strategic gameplay, thousands of player battles that really bring about these unique Planetside moments that nothing else comes close to.
And once you do capture territory, I mean, is it theoretically possible to take over an entire continent or something like that?
So in Planetside, there's actually 3 different factions that are warring over it, and the 3-faction system really helps out with that kind of problem happening. If one empire starts becoming dominant and they're just taking over the entire base, the entire map, the other 2 empires are able to sort of, fight back on 2 different fronts, so now they have to split their attention against these 2 different empires. Plus there's multiple continents. So this is 64 square kilometers with thousands of players on it, but there's going to be more than just one continent in the game. So you'll be able to go to a completely different continent. This one's sort of desert themed, but there'll be an ice continent, there'll be a lava continent, there'll be a grasslands continent. So if you're getting completely dominated on one continent, you can jump over to the other one and take out their territory on that one.
Okay, and does the type of content, does that actually affect gameplay? Like if you're in an ice area, do you have some kind of lessened friction or something like that?
No, absolutely. I mean, one of the things that it affects gameplay in is like, for instance, he's fighting within these canyons, and if you go a little bit further back away from this base, the canyons get really tight and kind of circuitous back there, and infantry can actually get a real good advantage over vehicles by standing up in the canyons and firing rocket launchers down on these tank lines that aren't going to be able to really do anything about it. So you need to have infantry that are there clearing out the infantry before the tanks can move through those canyons. And then you have something that's like a big open grassland area, you know? If you have a huge open grassland that's very wide open fields, then it's something where armor is just totally superior. Nothing else can really do anything about it. Or maybe it's a tree area. There's a lot of trees out there, then infantry have a lot of cover from those air vehicles that are flying overhead, but now it's more of an infantry versus tank battle. So you really get the idea that these big, massive landscapes that we're creating do directly affect the way that the gameplay feels and directly kind of impact which empires are going to have better advantages in certain areas, since every one of them has their own unique vehicles and their own unique weapons, access to unique tactics. So yeah, the landscape really does affect the gameplay quite a bit.
Okay, and I mean, yeah, since there are so many roles in the game, whether you want to control tanks or just fight on the ground or maybe use a sniper rifle or something like that, how easy is it to get into the role that you want and then maybe switch over to something else if you want to change up the pace of play?
Dead simple. Every time you respawn, you can swap which role you're playing as. Anytime within the game, you can walk right up to an equipment terminal, swap out your role. If you decide, hey, you know what, there's a lot of anti-air coming in, or there's a lot of aircraft coming in right now, I need anti-air. You can go into the middle of your base, go to the equipment terminal, switch into a max like Adam's running around in right now, equip it with 2 anti-air cannons, and go out there and blast the hell out of the aircraft that are flying around. It's very seamless, very easy to do.
Is there a cost associated with that?
No cost associated with it. One of the things that's really just amazing about this game is massive FPS gameplay, totally unprecedented, no one's ever done it before, and it's free to play. You go to the website, you download the game client, it's completely free. No monthly subscription fees, it's microtransaction driven, and the microtransactions are set up on mostly cosmetic items and side grade items. So I'm never paying for any sort of power advantage. Everything is just a trade-off to one another, and you can buy anything. Absolutely anything that affects gameplay using resources that you earn through gameplay.
Okay, and so you would spend the resources that you earn through gameplay to get, like, say, a tank or something like that.
That's absolutely right, yeah. So part of the territory conquest that's happening when you capture the space is you're earning resources for your empire, earning resources personally that you're now using to go unlock new items, unlock new weapons, get a new tank customization, whatever you want to do.
Okay, and could you just explain side grade really quickly?
Side grade to us means it's a weapon that you're trading off one thing to get another. So maybe I'm getting a new assault rifle that has a slower firing rate, but each one of the shots does more damage. Or maybe has a lower ammo capacity and it has less recoil. So I'm not actually buying a weapon or unlocking a weapon that's more powerful, but it might be situationally different or more in tune with my particular personal playstyle.
Okay, and can you say thousands of players, can they all be in the exact same area at the same time?
They can. It's going to be really, really easy to get kills with grenades if they all are in the same area at the same time, but yeah, it's absolutely going to be possible.
Okay, and yeah, I guess when can people get a chance to actually play Planetside 2?
You got to go to planetside2.com, sign up for beta right now, and in the next few weeks we're going to be starting to let players in, starting off small. This is actually the first time we've actually had a public hands-on here at E3, and it's been amazing. The reaction so far has been phenomenal. And over the next few months, we'll be adding more and more people to beta, and we'll be shipping pretty soon after that.
Launch in sometime in 2012?
That's the plan. Fingers crossed. But of course, we leave our options open. We're going to continue to keep it in beta until it's ready, and we want this game to be the best game possible. So.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for your time. Looks great. And back to you, Naomi.
Thanks for that look. So are you a Planetside fan? Let your voice be heard on Twitter. Follow at IGN and tweet us with the hashtag E3. Now our next franchise started its life on the Wii, but it is now branching out. Come join Mickey and the gang as we see Epic Mickey 2.